Hello remoters, Mr. Del Pazzo here with another drawing video. Today we're going to draw a giraffe. And it's not just any old giraffe, it's a giraffe taking a drink of water. And that's quite a scene because they can't bend their front legs, so they have to spread them out, go and bend their neck way down. It's quite a job. So I've got 4 beautiful examples here that I'm going to show you a little bit closer up. And of course, my paper is so big because I want to try, a giraffe's got all these little tiny skinny parts, so I want to make sure my paper is as big as possible. So unfortunately, you won't be able to see these examples while we're doing the drawing. I'll kind of have them off to the side a little bit. But I want to show you them up close. We actually used colored pencils for this. We colored penciled the giraffe, and then we watercolored the background. You can do it that way, or you can definitely do some kind of a background, because if he's dipping his head down into nothing and not even taking a drink of water, then it's going to look funny. So you have to do some kind of background, even if it's just kind of the plains, very low line thing. Like this is a very simple background. So let me show you these examples a little up close. So we're going to be doing him with his legs way out, almost corner to corner. These legs are actually probably a little bit too close together in the front. But those front legs, I'll show you a couple other examples where the legs are way spread out far. And of course, the tricky part of this project, the giraffe spots. Think of it kind of like puzzle pieces that aren't exactly fitting together. There's just a little bit of space, or like a stone pathway where the stones are just spaced out perfectly. So there's a really nice giraffe there. And we'll put him off here to the side. This is a very nice one. This person did not Sharpie the lines, so it's a little bit harder to see it. You don't have to Sharpie. We used a skinny Sharpie to trace the lines before we colored it in. But if you don't want to Sharpie the lines and just color with colored pencils, then it's going to look like this, which is perfectly fine. You can see where the legs are spread way out far, and he's bending his neck over to get a drink of water. And you can see the brown spots, how they're like just a little bit of yellow space between. You're mostly going to have brown spots. And we're going to do a little reflection in the hooves. See that? So that's a really nice one too. These two are very, very bright and colorful because they did like a sunset. A beautiful job on the legs. Everybody kept putting like a little dot for the belly button. I don't know if they have a belly button right there, but if you're wondering what that dot is, I think like 2 of them had a belly button. So they did a really nice job on the spots. See how they like just kind of fit together? Really nice job on the hoof. The hooves look really, really beautiful on that one. The hooves. Okay. I've got one more example for you. This one's really nice too. Get skinny little legs. Beautiful sunset. Great job on the watercolor sunset. That's amazing. Some hills in the background. Okay. So I'll put that over here. You're going to need a piece of paper. Right? No kidding, Mr. Del Pazzo. You're going to need a pencil, and you're definitely going to need an eraser. Just saying. Draw lightly. You heard it here first. Draw lightly. So we're going to use our paper horizontal. Legs are spread out. And we're going to start right in the middle. We're going to kind of start in the middle. We're going to work our way out. So we're going to start with the neck. The neck's got a slight little curve to it. Slight little curve. So there's really nothing higher than the base of our neck here. So you can go pretty close to the top of the paper if you want. And we're going to try to do it in the middle as much as we can. So I'm going to start up here. It's going to be a curve. I'm going to do the curve of the spine. And I'm going to do a slightly curved line. Is mine in the middle? It's easier if I look at the iPad than to try to stand back because I've got all this stuff in my room so I can't stand back. That looks good. Now, my line, you'll notice, isn't going to the bottom because this is just the neck. We need a little bit of room for the head. So that's about as low as you're probably going to want to go. Just a slight little curve. some of these examples I have don't really have too much of a curve. So that's fine too. You do that too. So I'm going to do the other side. I'm going to start a little bit lower than that. It's going to be a little wider at the top. So I'm going to curve in first. And then once I curve in, then I'm going to follow the curve of the rest of the neck. Now, I'm going way, 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 way faster than I would normally go. But you have the ability to pause it and rewind it and stop it and go, what is this guy talking about? And then push play again and then get back to it. So I'm going to zip right along so that we don't have a really, really long video. Once we get to the base, I'm going to do his little poofy hair. Now remember, he's bent over, so we can't see his eyes. We can't see a lot of his face. We're just looking at the top of his head. So right here, I'm going to do just kind of like a little poof of hair. Just kind of a little mopsy poof of hair. It's a little bit wider than the neck. And now I'm going to do his ears. He's got very long ears, and the ears are spread out to the side. So right toward the top of the mopsy, I'm just going to do a slightly curved line, and they're pretty long. Probably don't look long on the iPad, but on my board, they're gigantic. Now, they're going to start out skinny, and then they're going to get wider, okay? So I'm going to start out, I'm going to curl around, skinny. I'm going to go about maybe halfway or a little bit less than halfway. Swoop down, and then in. Curl around small, swoop down, and then in. I don't like that one. There we go. So they start out skinny, and then they kind of curve down and just get a little bit wider. Now I can see a little bit of the inside of the ear. So this thin part, I'm going to do a line that curves down, so you can just see the inside of the ear. See that? Starts thin, and then swoops down, and then this one curves out. So that little piece right there, that will be pink later on. See the ears? See that? Okay. Now, we're going to do the rest of the head, and I'm going to go pretty much to the bottom of this piece of paper. Now, I don't want to go all the way to the bottom because I want to put the little puddle underneath him. But he does have a long face, so hopefully I left enough paper. If not, I'll just erase it and add more. You can't do that, but I can. So now I'm going to do his eyes. Now, we can't see his eyes, but we can see like the bump of them, like the top of the eyelid. So right about where the poof of the hair is, I'm just going to go bump, 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 bump. And then I'm going to swoop down. That's going to be thinner. It's going to go, and it curves out a little bit at the bottom, but not much. Not much. And I'm going to do two little bumps for the nostrils, and I'm just going to do a curved line at the bottom. I had to make mine a little bit shorter than I wanted to. Okay, I didn't want to make mine this wide, I didn't want to make mine this short, but I ran out of paper. Oops. You might even put a little line there for his nostrils. Okay. As long as we have a teeny bit of space at the bottom, we're good. Now, if you want to do eyelashes, right, something like, can I put eyelashes on my giraffe? Why not? I'm sure their eyelashes are long, like their legs and their neck and everything else. I would do this later after, like, you finished your background, but I'm not doing a background on mine, so little swoops. Very nice. Now, he does have a mane going right down the back of his neck. It's very short, stubbly little hair that kind of stick up. But it's really hard to draw that because we're looking straight at them. So I'm just going to do like a little, and that'll be brown. Just kind of like a ziggy-zaggy line. If you want to do something a little more detailed, you can. But we've got other problems. We got other stuff to do. I don't worry about that. I'm not going to do any of the spots. I'm going to wait until the giraffe is done, then we'll do the spots after. Okay, so now we're going to do the legs. Dun, dun, dun. Here's the deal. We're going to start up here. It's going to be really wide at the beginning. But just so you know, that corner is where we're aiming. That's where we want the hoof. I want my hoof to be right there. So if my leg starts to go this way, I'm going to have to erase it and move it. If it starts to go down this way, I got to erase it and move it. I want it to go in that direction. If you want, you can make like a little mark about halfway, because that's where the kneecap's going to be. So if that's the beginning and that's the end, then you're going to want to make a little mark. You don't have to be exactly there, but it's kind of nice to know where you need to go. And his kneecap is kind of big and bulgy because it's just all skin and bones. So I'm going to start just a little bit down from this curve. Right there. Right, that's kind of like the top of his leg. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come down, kind of like right there. I'm not sure if I like that swoop. I'm going to leave that there for now because I'm not sure if it's going to go right to the corner. I want to do the other side of the leg first. And then I might have to erase that. I'm going to come down. Now the bottom of the leg is really wide, right? Like really wide. And then this is going to go, you can see how it's going to get nice and thin. Now I'm going to look at my iPad. Am I going down to the corner? I don't think I am. I think I'm headed right about there. So what I think I'm going to need to do, I might need to just move this, just part of this line, right? Just part of it. And then this line could come in. I think maybe that'll be a little bit better. That's a little better. So then I'm going to do a little bump for the kneecap. Bump, bump. It's not like a big watermelon. It's just a little, kind of like a circle. Now the bottom of his leg's really skinny. So it's going to start out wide here, but then I'm going to get much thinner. And you can see that it got really thin and then it swooped out at the bottom. That's because that's where my hoof is going to be too. Right. So what I'm going to do on the inside here, I'm going to do a little bump, and then my hoof's going to go at a slant. See how it's slanted? It's not straight down, right? And then this side, I'm going to go, almost ran out of paper there. I'm going to keep going all the way down until those two lines are parallel, till they're both even with each other. Because the bottom of the hoof needs to be parallel with the bottom of your paper. Even the really good examples, some people did not, the hoof was like tipped up or down. So the bottom of that hoof should be parallel to the bottom of your paper, which means they're the same. Not that. No, 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 yes. Now, the top of my hoof is going to go right above this little bump right here. And I'm going to slant it. It looks better when you kind of slant that line, so the outside of the hoof is wider, and this side is a little bit thinner. So what we'll do is we're going to make a reflection. So what we're going to do is we're just going to do two little skinny lines. Inside of those two lines is going to be white, and then this side and this side will be black. Now you're not coloring that in, obviously, but just to save a little time, it kind of looks like a reflection. Now I'm going to hop over to the other side. So the other leg, we're going to try to make it similar, sort of. So I'm going to follow this line over, and I'm going to put the bottom of the leg right there. The top of my leg is going to be kind of like right here. It's going to be lower than that one. Okay, we're not looking at him exactly straight on. So this leg is going to be kind of like right here. And I'll try to make those sort of the same width. And then sort of the same. I want to make sure this kneecap is even. So my other kneecap's going to have to be right about there. They need to be about the same. I think mine might be a little bit lower, but it's close. It's close. And then I'm going to try to make the bottom of the leg just like that one, where it kind of gets skinny, and it swoops out. I'll try to make both hooves kind of the same. I think I ran out of room a little bit here. There we go. Slanted line, reflection, black, black, just like that. Okay. Okay. Now I need to do the back legs. They can be a little tricky because he's sort of standing to the side, so his Bodinsky is going to be like over here. So I'm going to continue with this. This is the very first line we made. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of swoop down and then come over and around. I would say the butt should be no further on the side, past the side, than the kneecap. So I kind of swoop down a little bit so his spine sticks up, and then I came over a little and a nice round curve, and then that line, I would say somewhere around the kneecap. That's about where you want to be. So I'm going to follow this line down. Obviously the front legs are in front of the back legs. And those back legs are going to be somewhere around, I would say somewhere around like his ears. The bottom of the legs are going to be somewhere around here because the front legs are way in front. And as things get further away from us, not only do they get smaller, but they get higher on the page. So I'm going to come down. My kneecap's going to be right about there. Actually, that might be a little bit too high. I mean, too low, excuse me. Okay, so that's the one leg. And then my other leg's going to be behind us. Now, you might have both legs. This person, both legs, they really don't. One goes behind the ear just a teeny tiny bit. I don't think mine's going to be like that. Every one of these things are totally different. So my other leg's going to be right next to that. Right, so I'll put it right about here. Whoops. Now the hoof's going to be a little different. All right, we're going to do the swoop. I'm just going to go slanted a little bit. Curved line at the top, little slant. Don't really look the same, but that's okay. That's a little better. I'll put a little reflection right there too. I think my kneecaps are too low. I think I'm going to move my kneecaps a little higher. I think I'm going to put my kneecap right there. And I think I'm going to move this kneecap up here with that one. Because I want the bottom of my legs to be a little bit longer. And of course, we're going to need a puddle that he's drinking out of. So whether it's, some people do like a giant stream, you could just do like a little puddle. You even like the little ripples. Whatever you want to do. Okay, so the spots. Dun, dun, dun. The spots. Here's the deal with the spots. Just think of them as puzzle pieces that are just separated a little bit. So it's mostly puzzle pieces. It's not so much background. So I think I'm going to use a different color. You can kind of get an idea. So, like if I have a big piece right here, don't make them real wiggly, right? You don't want to You don't want like big wiggly paint spots like that. You don't want that. They have flat sides, but just the edges are rounded. And they fit together better with flat sides. Right, so I've got 3 pieces right there, right? There's 1 piece, there's 1 piece, there's 1 piece. So at the top of the leg, the spots are bigger. As you get closer to the knee, they're going to get a little smaller. And then as you get below the knee, they get a lot smaller to the point where they just kind of like disappear. Poof, about halfway down the shin. But you'll see, the sign of good spots, if you just have a skinny little pathway between your shapes. And notice that the pathway is all the same. It's not a wide path, a skinny path, a wide path, a skinny path. The path is all the same thickness. Now you can decide how skinny or wide your path is, but they all fit together. If I was to push these shapes together, they'd all meet perfectly. Right, and then I'll do this leg. I like to make some of the spots like pretend like they're curling around. Now remember, this is the neck, so it's a different spot. Right, so you can even do a giant spot that goes all the way across the paper if you want. And as I get closer, they're going to get a little smaller. Flat sides, rounded corners. That's kind of where you're going. I'm going to get smaller and smaller. And by the time I get to the middle of the shin, they just dissipate into nothingness. You can do some, well, you definitely want to do some on the neck. I'll make a big giant one there. You don't have to just do one on each side like a row of teeth. Right? I can do one here and then there. Right there. This poof of hair. Some people do spots on the ears, some people don't. I don't know if they have little spots on the ears. I should have done my research. I don't want it to look like he's got chicken pox or anything. I don't know if they do. I don't think they have spots on their ears because that looks weird. No spots it is. You can do some on the forehead, down the middle, if you want. They're probably not going to be all that big. And then, of course, the Badinsky. You're probably not going to see too many down here because you're already red at the shins. And then we can do some nice big ones over here. Notice I'm stopping right at that line because the butt and the legs are 2 different areas. Nice big spots. Okay? And of course he has a tail. I like to keep the tail close to his body. So right up here I like to come down and then just swoop, but it's a little wider at the top. And then he's got kind of like a little poof of hair at the end. Poof. Make it a little wider at the top, and of course it gets thin at the bottom. And I do believe they have spots on the tail. They're not going to be very big because the tail's not going to be very big. So you can just start small ones, and then they can just get teeny weeny as I get to the bottom. Okay? Some point you're going to want to make a horizon line. Low, high, whatever you want to do. So maybe I'll do one right here. I kind of like that one that I showed you that had like the little mountain range. So, I don't want to call it a mountain range. They live in the grasslands, which is pretty flat. So nothing too big, no Catskill Mountains here. I know I went 50,000 miles an hour, and I think I raced 25 times myself. So take your time. This might not be one of those 2-class drawings, right? Because you're really just supposed to be drawing for the 40, well, now it's 40 minutes, not 36 minutes. The 40 minutes of our art time. Are you going to get that done in 40 minutes? I doubt it. You're probably not. So just remember, this will be in teams under the assignments. The next project will be there waiting for you. So you don't have to worry about it. It's going to be there whenever you get to it. So if this thing takes you 3 or 4, if we're doing this in class, this is about 4 classes, maybe more. Right? So I don't want to squeeze it into 2 for you or give you homework. So get as much done as you can those first 40 minutes. Go back to it whenever you want to. If it takes you 3, 4 sessions, then that's what it takes you. Especially, once you draw it, then you got to outline it if you want, and then color it in. I know I showed you some examples, but you can certainly Google giraffe and see what color they are. Brown spots, yellow body kind of. And then you can color it in with colored pencils, and then watercolor the background or whatever you want to do in the background. Totally up to you. And the next drawing will be waiting for you, so you don't have to worry about it. When you do get it done, pop it into teams. I definitely want to check these out, because even though it's a really tough drawing, they usually come out really, really nice. So we're going to get some nice examples, and I definitely want to see them. So take your time, pause it, rewind it, watch me draw that thing over and over again, and take your time. So I will see you later, guys. Goodbye.